Hello everyone, this is Agony333, and we're here today for Blue Ruin, which is a movie from 2013. It's an hour and 32-minute runtime, it's rated R, and it's a crime thriller. So yeah, this one is not a disturbing flick, but I figured I would take a break from those ones, the incredibly bleak, crazy-ass ones, and I would focus on, a more standard movie, but another good one. So yeah, I guess I kind of spoiled that a little bit, but anyways, a lot of what I'll have to talk about today will actually probably be reserved for the spoiler section, but let's go through the basics here really quick. So, what is this movie about? It is about a character named Dwight who is basically from the get-go homeless. And so, yeah, it's basically set after a tragedy. And this is a revenge film, that's what I should say, is it's a revenge film, like a tale of revenge and stuff. But the thing that's special and pretty unique about this movie, which here, I will show the case, which is really cool artwork and stuff, by the way, and really good scenery. That's another note I put here, is I love the scenery in this film. It's set in Virginia, by the way. But what's unique about this tale of revenge, unlike other ones, whereas most movies, when it comes to that revenge thing, it takes quite a bit of time, to build up like what happened, the story, and most of the film is kind of like a drawn out thing where they're seeking revenge. This one's not that. This one handles things differently. Instead of showing flashbacks, other things, throughout the film, you kind of piece together what happened, what tragedy actually occurred. Because, like I said, in the beginning of this movie, you basically see this main character named Dwight, and essentially his life destroyed, his life completely wrecked and ruined, if you will, like the title, Blue Ruin. Which another thing, here's a trivia thing. Blue Ruin actually refers to the vehicle he drives, because yeah, he basically lives in his vehicle on the beach and stuff like that. But so basically, you see after a tragedy, his life destroyed, but he basically finds out that the person who destroyed his life is getting out of prison, and so that's where the tale of revenge kind of comes in. Is he decides to get revenge for his life being destroyed, previous to the film, and the way it handles that, as well as the bulk of the film, is way different because yeah, I'll have to get to spoilers to kind of more so elaborate on that because that ruins a bit of the surprise and what makes this movie special. But it doesn't handle those things in a typical fashion. But let me go ahead and see what things I can get to before I immediately get into spoilers and start discussing the details of this movie. One second. So yeah, I mean, he starts off as a character that you immediately kind of feel bad for, and I don't know if I'd say relate to, but I mean, he's a down on his luck kind of character, and he doesn't even really speak for a good amount of the movie. There is not much dialogue, and it's kind of just focusing on, the scenery and kind of him trying to kind of make it by and stuff, get food, things like that. Because, like I said, he's living in this vehicle and in a bad situation, sadly. Um, Let me see here more notes. Yeah, I mentioned the sights are really great. And what's also cool is I like the music in this also. And it's because the music in this, it kind of reminds me of like almost Silent Hill, which I've mentioned that in LPs, Let's Plays and stuff. Um, the Silent Hill's music, and this one, like I said, reminds me of it because it's kind of like calm but heavy. And that's what's cool is like you see these really cool kind of ruined, sites and things. You see kind of like woods, you see kind of like the beach and stuff. You see, these sights and stuff, and then you have calm but really kind of heavy tunes to go with that in a sense. Calm but heavy, kind of more relaxed. It's really atmospheric and it blends well together with all of it. Yeah, goes together well. And now this is kind of a slow burn, but at least for me, I didn't feel that slow burn. I didn't feel that really. I mean, to me, it kept itself engaging, and all the scenes, all the moments and stuff kept it kind of going along. So it didn't really, at least to me, feel slow burn because at least to me, I was interested, and I think that the reason it succeeds in that is because you don't immediately know this basic tale of revenge. It's like I said, as it goes through, you kind of piece those things together because when you go into it, you kind of see him homeless, but you don't know why. You don't know exactly all of what occurred. And then as the film progresses, you get kind of bits by bits until finally, later on, you kind of can figure out what exactly caused what you see there. But let's keep going here. Oh, another thing I'll say is that the kills that happen in this movie, the thing that's cool about them is this isn't a movie where it's about, some hardened badass and there's like all these stylish kills and stuff. This one, it's not like that at all. This one, it's more just realistic, and he's kind of just a regular guy. But the thing that goes well with that in these action sequences, which there's not very many, there's only a few, but it makes them more intense, believable, and realistic because of that. So at least that's kind of a positive, at least for me. It's not just some standard movie where some guy's going to go in there and clear a room or anything like that. It's more centered on being realistic, and that keeps it kind of more edge of your seat and more engaging. But let me see here on what else I can say. But okay, another thing that I liked about this movie is that basically, like I said, it's an aftermath. It kind of goes to show how things get worse with revenge and things along those lines, as well as, brash decisions. Decisions made out of emotion like this, because there's a lot of decisions in this movie that, are kind of chain reactions to other ones, and people just kind of going with emotion, and you just see how it kind of chain reacts to just cause kind of chaos and destroy many different lives. And this piece of shit needed relit. But yeah, so that's also, like I said, what I thought was cool about it is it's not just a standard tale of revenge, and it's not just painting it kind of like, some do where it's like, just getting revenge and it's like not necessarily a good thing, but you know what I mean? It's not just doing that, it's showing how, things like that cause kind of only harm and make things worse, and how when people react with just emotion and they don't think things through and they just go with those things, how it just, like I said, causes chain reactions. It's more centered on realism, and it's more centered also on how, events of that nature and other ones, it's more centered on the fallout, like the things that it causes, lifelong or long term, rather than, a movie that's an action movie where it's just short term and it's gratification. This kind of shows the lasting effects of things like that in a person's life. So that I at least thought was a really good aspect of this movie. But I believe that's actually all the things I can get to before spoilers. And so what I thought I would give this film is a 7. It's a good movie. It's like I said, it's a slow burn. So some may feel that, I didn't feel that. But if you do like tales of, kind of like revenge, crime thrillers and stuff, and you want something that's a little bit unique that handles it a little bit differently in its own way, then I would recommend maybe checking it out, looking into it, seeing if it's a good fit for you or anything. The thing that drew me to this movie, that actually, made it stand out was its trailer. So maybe go ahead and check that out, see if it looks appealing to you. But now I'm going to go to spoilers because, yeah, there's quite a few notes here on that, and I'll be kind of elaborating on some things. Other bits that I liked about it, other cool stuff like that. So, peace out to everyone who actually wants to watch this movie, and for any of you who want to stick the fuck around to hear other things, let's do this shit. After I light my smoke. Alright, so, like I said, it's set after the aftermath of tragedy because, yeah, it's a story that, like I said, is long term. You get bits of things over time, but that's also kind of, like I said, what's cool about it is it doesn't just have a huge flashback explaining things, or it's not just kind of shoving it in your face or anything. It kind of just, you kind of just see the character from the beginning. You see where his life is in turmoil, and he wants kind of some revenge once he realizes that the person who had done these things to him is getting out of prison, and you kind of just see him on his journey, and then you just piece by piece, you gather those things along the way. But yeah, basically upon hearing the news of that person getting out of prison, he immediately sets his sight on revenge. He pretty much, he has like books, like that's basically his only, I guess, enjoyment because he's homeless and everything else. And he basically takes those books in the beginning and he has this kind of like box and he just dumps them in the trash and just starts fixing up the vehicle because the vehicle's actually broken down when you first watch this movie in the very beginning. It's just broken down and he's kind of along the boardwalks and everything. But he pretty much fixes up the vehicle immediately and he's like, heck with this. And he goes off. He's not a badass though by any means. Like I said, he's a kind of a regular guy, which I think is a cool aspect of this movie. But yeah, basically his parents had been murdered, and that basically sent his life spiraling downward. Because after his parents were murdered, he pretty much just got up and left, and his life completely fell apart because of that. And so now, all these years later, when someone's getting out of prison, he decides to go and get revenge for having his life destroyed. And the other cool thing that I had to save for the spoiler thing is that he basically gets revenge fucking quickly. That's the cool thing, because a lot of movies, the whole movie is focused on the journey to revenge, or this intense buildup, which is not a bad thing. It's really cool to see like this rivalry or this buildup and shit, and then the end. But no, in this one, you get some bits there, but he pretty much gets revenge immediately, and then you see more fallout. And that's what I meant before the spoiler category, is it starts off after a tragedy and after effects, and you see those lasting effects of what have happened to this person. But then you see him get revenge, and then you see more fallout, which goes to show why those methods aren't exactly good ones. Whereas a lot of action movies, a lot of movies kind of portray them as just this either heroic or triumphant kind of thing. This kind of shows it for how it really is, where it doesn't solve shit and it just keeps making things worse and causing more problems. And people, like I said, acting on emotion instead of critically thinking about them. And this fucker just does not want to stay lit either. But yeah, let's see here. But yeah, you see the aftermath, and then you see more aftermath because basically after he gets revenge, and kills that person who's gotten out of prison, not only does he find out that was the wrong person, so that wasn't actually the real person who caused all of that shit. He was wrong, which kind of reminds me of how Irreversible was all those years ago that I reviewed that. But now the entire family wants to fucking kill his ass, of course, because now it's just a back and forth, and it turns into sort of not really a bloodbath because there's not a lot, but that's what I'm saying. It just causes all this shit, and it gets to a point where there's no getting out of it, and just everybody suffers because of it, pretty much. And yeah, no peace, because that's the next part that I have here. Was I'm trying to think because I'm about to actually touch on the ending already of how this film ended. But I don't know, like I said, there was cool sights, cool music, the way it handles all those things, the action sequences and stuff. The characters more kind of clumsy and they're kind of, yeah, they're frantic. You feel that kind of frantic nature rather than just fluid and action based. It's more, it's more just intense and frantic, and you feel the adrenaline just kind of like, it happens quickly. Things happen quickly, and that kind of, like I said, is another positive. But I like how the ending was handled. And the reason I like that is, it's pretty sad, but the character makes attempts after his brash decision early on to get revenge, and he just goes with it. He basically mentions, I lost two people, and you've basically lost two people because yeah, two people die before the ending happens. And so he tries to kind of even things out and want some peace to end things before they keep getting worse. Because, like I said, it's kind of a movie that shows, how high emotions, chain reactions, things like that just make things worse for everybody in situations like this shit. But of course, no peace is to be had, and it's not exactly a final stand, if you will, but he basically, goes to the family's home and he starts, yeah, rigging the place and kind of figuring out how he's going to try to approach this because, yeah, he has now an entire family that's furious with him. But yeah, I like how that whole sequence was how that ending was handled. It was sad, but like I said, it kind of felt more real, felt more realistic, and showed why those means, why those things are a bad thing, not a good thing. How most movies would handle it. It handles this kind of thing differently, and sadly, in the process of all of it, he ends up dying. Him and almost everybody from that family die. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it goes to kind of show you and make you think, if he had just tried to maybe let that go or try to rebuild his life, I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes you think how things would have been in this film instead of how they turned out to be. But yeah, it was really well done. There was some more kind of, gloomy kind of vibes and stuff. It's not a huge action packed film or anything. It's more slow paced, but when those moments happen, they spike up and it's pretty damn cool. But yeah, that's actually, I think, all that I have to say about this film. There, I guess, wasn't too much to say other than it was a good movie. And if you like those kinds of things, then you'd probably like this film as well. But I hope that you all are having a great, wonderful, kick ass fucking day. And this is Agony 333, and I'm signing the fuck out. Have an awesome one, guys. Peace.